good evening. This is Taiwan Ojobi, your host online known as Maple Sports. I'm always excited to, stand in front of you guys and give you some quality and premium sports across board. We like unfiltered opinion and we have some big love for Canadian hoops and nice. We like to break down the NBA, spotlighting the CBL and try to carve out some space for some smart hockey talk. This is run by your commentator, analyst, and unapologetic fan of the game. I like to say this is 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Today's a good day. Be brave and make a difference. Have fun and sing your heart out. Some of the things that we're going to be looking at today are a bit different, and it helps me to be able to kind of just look at pre-hockey Olympics games that will be coming up in a few weeks. We want to try and look at what are the teams looking like pre-hockey Olympics, and by the time they come back from the Olympics, what are the things that we are going to be expecting when it comes to the world of hockey. What I've done is I've gone through all the teams and I've just done some kind of a weekly ranking for first week of January going into the second week of January. It gives us an idea of what the performance of the teams will look like by the time they come back from the Olympics. Now, pre-Olympics, there are a lot of matches that are, piling up across the world of hockey. The same thing is happening also in the world of basketball, and I just like to talk a little bit about it, give you guys a bit of an insight of what's happening in the world of hockey. I try to do some analysis around ability to win, teams that are doing so well, teams that have fortified their goaltending, and teams that have improved their ability to continue to stay relevant, especially as it relates to where they finish on the table for the postseason. League-wide teams, for me, I just like to start with the Colorado Avalanche at number one, and I've said this multiple times. They are playing at a very high level. They are in a different league of their own. I just said it just a few weeks ago, or a few days ago rather, that team was constructed for the postseason. They are running away with everything. And historically, they've had the dominant pace. They've always been a team that you don't consider a scrub. They're always a high-level team. They have this absurd home record, especially this season. They've won a lot of games until recently that the Toronto Maple Leafs now beat them in overtime 4-3, which was just yesterday. I was catching up with that. And they have very good elite goal differential so far. So shout out to the Colorado team. They are playing at a different level. And it feels like they've been able to get some blueprint from the Florida Panthers, and they want to really go to the finals of the Stanley Cup, and I really wish them the best. So far, I think the middle tier is congested. A lot of franchise or club sides are fighting for qualification, especially looking at where they finish positioning, looking at the Atlantic and other aspects within the Western and Eastern Conference. It's looking like everybody is fighting for his space. So from the 4th to 18th on the table, the margins are what I consider result thin. They are still very small. A lot of things can tilt away, from your favor or in your favor, especially as it relates to performance and getting the wins in the overtime. There are traditional powers that are sleeping, especially the Chicago team. Chicago team is a powerful team, but they're not playing so well this season. They also have goaltending issues. The Anaheim Ducks started well earlier in the season. I had a different expectation from the Anaheim Ducks, especially the fact that it's a team, located in a big city like California, but they're still not doing so well. The Columbus Blue Jackets also, they are, making some noise, but I still call them traditional powers that can form some kind of, because they can go for Olympics and come back and these entire narratives will change. And that's why I just like to put it out there that these are teams that are still in the middle of the pack. They are traditionally big teams, strong teams, very, very big cities, and they are, well known in hockey, but they are slipping away. They are not really performing well. The Calgary Flames are also part of it. The Calgary Flames are also a big powerhouse, but they are not playing so well. I expect a bit more from them. The St. Louis team as well, they are trending downwards. And for me, I feel that a lot has to happen after the Olympics. Maybe when they go and play for their countries and they get some kind of refresh, when they come back, it may be a bit better for them to approach the season differently. The fourth category are the wild card races. For me, it's going to be chaos because the wild card teams are not the conventional teams you find in the wildcard categories. Multiple teams are hovering between 48 and 53. You understand point range. Because in hockey, the way you gather points is even if you lose a match in the overtime. So the more overtime you have, the more you're able to get some 1 point across board. If a team beats you in overtime, you still share the spoils. They take two and you take one. So it's either if they beat you in overtime or they beat you in penalties, you are still able to get some of the points. So, and that's what's helping the Edmonton Oilers now. They have more overtime wins than even the Florida Panthers. So, for those overtime wins or penalty wins or losses, they are still able to get some points to go home with. That's why every team tries to fight to get to the overtime. Because once you're in overtime, you already have, even if you lose, you already have 1 point. But if you win, you have 2 points. And, that's exactly how it has gone. So I'm going to be putting it on the screen, starting from the tier one. Now, my tier one are the true cup contenders. They are going to challenge extremely well in the postseason. These teams are controlling games at a very, very high level. They are driving the goal differential and they are sustaining elite form. And Colorado Avalanche is my number one any day, anytime. If you wake me up, I tell you the Colorado team, they are playing at a very high level. They are plus 79 on differential. They are undefeated in regulation at home. And this is as at the 12th of January 2026. They are playing at a very high level. They are undefeated in regulation at home. They've lost a couple of matches in overtime, but in regulation at home, they've not lost this season. Those guys are different. They are, their coach is really having a good time. They have 74 points, which is an historical dominance. Every other team looks very small in front of them when they are playing. A lot of teams are learning from them. Hopefully, they're able to keep up this and, take it into the postseason and continue their dominance. The Tampa Bay Lightning definitely is my obvious number two. They've had a 10-game winning streak and they're plus 43 on their differential. And they've had an elite performance when it comes to bringing out wins in tough situations, especially when they are playing top teams, winning teams. They've been able to bring out wins. They have also, gone ahead to upset the Colorado Avalanche this season, giving them their fourth overtime loss, at home. And, my obvious number two, automatically, they're playing so well at a high level. They also have a very good coach, who is a good veteran, is, played in the league for a while, and is helping the team, is helping them improve. And I like what I'm seeing from them. Hopefully they don't collapse, between now and the end of the season, because we have a lot of teams that are, breaking into that 40 games, because they had about 33 games as of 2 days ago. So now they are breaking into the 40 games, and we can confidently say they are getting into the middle of the season. So they need a lot of backups. A lot of teams are getting players that were injured. They are getting them back to support them. Even though they will go on the Olympic break for a while, those that are not representing their countries can still go back and perfect their training, get some rest, because they've had a lot of back-to-back games over the Christmas and going into the new year. My obvious number three are the Dallas Stars. They are a very good team, a deep roster, because they are deeper than even the Pacific Ocean. That team is very deep. They have strong away record, and it also shows their depth because people come from the bench to also help them. They are consistent when it comes to point accumulation. They are very good in the zone offense. I really like what I'm seeing from the Dallas Stars, and I feel that because they are deeper than the Pacific Ocean, they are going to give us some very, very good hockey this season. You understand? And they are my number three. They have what it takes to move to number two, but let's just, watch them and, see how they are going. The Minnesota Wild are also a very good team. They are not a scrub. Any team in Minnesota is always a team that struggles in the defense side. This also happens in the NBA side as well, which is the basketball. I see balanced scoring from the team, strong home and away splits. They have everything is resilient for them. In overtime, they play with a different kind of energy. That's what I've seen from the Minnesota Wild. Different kind of energy in the overtime. Very resilient. A team that is always taking calculated risk. Everything about them is very intentional. You can tell that this team, they know what they are talking about, and they know whatever moves they are making, what is going to become. And so far, I've really liked what I've seen from the team. Number five on my list is the Carolina Hurricanes. They are playing so well too as well. They've played some very, very good hockey that I've seen over the last few weeks. For me, they're an high event offense team. They drive their offense in a very different way, very fast, a bit similar to what we saw last year for the Edmonton Oilers. They are playing very well. They have, a stable structure. You understand? They also have a deep team, even though it's not as deep as the Pacific Ocean. Let's say it's as deep as the Atlantic Ocean. Then, yeah, they have a deep team. They have a lot of young guys that are coming up, a lot of rookies that they are pushing up as well. So I really want to see what this team is going to give to us in the postseason. And looking at the way the Colorado is leading them, you understand, every team has what it takes to be able to catch up with them once they come back from the Olympics. The key takeaway for this tier one for me is the Colorado team is the clear number one, and Tampa Bay are playing so well. Their surge is making them one of the hottest teams in hockey right now, because they went on 10 straight wins, up until the 12th of January. And I feel that that's, if you are trending upwards, you are on a streak now, everybody's watching out for you. It means that everything is going on well for you. So bouncing around the tier two, these are strong playoff teams. I call them the strong playoff locks. And they have what it takes to be able to give us what I call a solid metric across board. But they are not elite in their dominance yet, but they are showing us that they can lock in strong spots in the postseason. And those are some of the things that we're looking at for them. Some of them are former winners, and some of them are very good Canadian teams as well. But, let's just try and look at the numbers to give you an idea why I put them in the tier two. The Detroit Red Wings on the screen, they're trending upwards. They have 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They've won 7. They've lost 2 in regulation, and they've lost 1 in overtime. However, this is a strong team. One of the teams that have shown a lot of people that they want to be able to make a lot of noise in the postseason. And you can't just look down on them. They're shining the way they are playing. They are playing with a lot of energy. They have a lot of young guys, young blood, and everybody is healthy. You understand? There are a few injuries here and there, but I'm seeing that the entire team is looking very healthy, and those are the things I'm looking out for. And, because they're trending upward, they can go into my tier one in, other weeks that I decide to look at their performance. The Montreal Canadiens, for me, they are not a big surprise. To me, they have still been the most consistent Canadian team so far. They started well with a lot of energy. In my opinion, I believe they are overperforming expectations. They're a strong defensive team. If you look at their metrics, I think right now at this stage of the season, if the season were to end, they have already overperformed. Because if you look at the way they are playing, I like their transition game. I like their zone defense, and I like what they are doing on the young guys that they are bringing on board as well. Because one thing about the league is finding a way to give some of your young guys opportunities to be able to express themselves, because they are the future of hockey. So I like what I'm saying. The New York Islanders are also a big team. They have this tight defensive structure. And I see that over the last 10 matches, they've had good overtime performance. So it means that they will be able to still keep that strength. Because in the postseason, the problem now is in overtime of the postseason, you don't have 3 players playing in the regular season. You understand? It's a bit different. So in the postseason, everybody keeps playing, just keep playing until you get a winner. So you can have longer stretches. And players get tired as well. So it's only the strong teams that are able to do so well. In regular season, they reduce the number from 5 to 3 that stay on the ice in overtime. So sometimes it gives few players the opportunity to rest during regular season. But in postseason, everybody stays on board because, we have to fight it out till we get the final winner. So the next team on my list is the Vegas Golden Knights, playing so well. I like the way they're playing. The last 10 games, they've won 8, and the only 2 that they lost were in overtime/penalties. And that's a major momentum swing for them. It means that they have what it takes to be able to challenge the status quo, and I like what I'm saying. Shout out to them, doing so well. Next after them is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a complete transition of the team since they changed their assistant coach, their power play coach. The team has improved, and the moment they moved away from identifying Austin Matthews as the best player on the team, and that moved to a different candidate or multiple candidates, including Nylander, multiple candidates, their performance has improved. And I like the way Austin Matthews was able to take in all the criticisms. The whole of Toronto was criticizing the guy. I felt for him, and he's an American, young guy playing so well since 2015. But the way he was criticized, especially when the Toronto Maple Leafs were not performing was really, really, shocking for me. He was able to take that in and he went back, worked with his team, and they're still able to get some solid results coming in. For me to be ranking them above the Edmonton Oilers, it means that they've played well in their last 10 games. They are solid, but a bit of inconsistency. And now they're beginning to build a strong home record this season. I really wish them the best. The good thing is, if you have Canadian teams that are challenging, getting to semi-final, getting to the final, it's always good, because what now happens is the world of hockey gets a balance. So we have Canadians still watching hockey, and we have Americans still working, because there's an American team and there's a Canadian team. So it's always good to have that balance across board. So for this tier two, the key takeaway for me is the teams are safe unless they collapse. They are safe because they can get a spot. The only thing is they'll probably just have to face much stronger teams. Oh no, much lower teams, depending on how it's being ranked now. They will most likely face teams within the bubble, or teams that are wild cards across board. So they are still okay, at least within their first round. Second round, they'll probably now start to face teams within tier one as well for the postseason. So for my tier three, I have this as the bubble team zone, and they are the wild card chaos zone. A lot of teams are fighting in this zone, and it aligns with the word that they say that see you. They say see you guys at the top, because the top is very, very. There's a lot of space at the top, but the ground is crowded because a lot of people are fighting to get to the top. So that's exactly what this bubble area, which is the wild card chaos zone, looks like. This is where we have players fighting for either they have a season that is well rewarding or a lost season completely. This wildcard zone, in previous years, we've had people that came out of this wildcard zone and ended up getting to the final. So it's not impossible for you to have players, in this wildcard zone now outperforming, or having all their players healthy and they're able to outperform other teams in the postseason. But the good thing is, it's good to just talk about the players that are within this zone and give you an idea of which teams fall within this category for my ranking. For the Buffalo Sabres, there are good metrics going on for them. I talked about them last week. They are getting into some streaky wins as well, and their situation also looks like they can get out of this. It's also a team in New York as well, so they have that pedigree. They've been playing well for a while, and they can get out of it. But right now, they are in my bubble team. Philadelphia Flyers, slightly positive differential, but they are very inconsistent. Sometimes they will play very well. They still beat the Edmonton Oilers, in a very, very interesting thriller. And they may just go ahead and a smaller team may just beat them. So I'm not seeing that consistency for them, but they're also a team that can surprise a lot of people in the postseason. Washington Capitals are also doing well. They are aging. A couple of older players are playing there, so we're not really seeing that fast move like 2-3 years ago when they were much younger. So, but they're still competitive. They have what it takes. These veterans understand the game, and right now they are in my bubble zone, but they can still come up as well, and they can still fall within good performance in the postseason. Boston Bruins are plus 17 differential, but they have poor form in at least their last 10 games. And that doesn't mean that, because they started well in the season. And my last ranking that I did before Christmas, they were also looking in a good shape. But it looks like the way it's going, they will have to find a way to maybe recoup or re-energize immediately after the Olympics. And, we'll see where it goes from there. The Pittsburgh Penguins, veteran team, they're hanging on. I don't see them qualifying for the postseason. It's going to take a miracle for them. They still have some goaltending issues. So they have a lot of things to sort out, So I kind of just believe that they would go in, understand, get some rest, during the Olympics and come back a bit stronger as well. But I still see them making some noise, but they may not be able to, because it's a bit tough to qualify for the postseason. The Florida Panthers, this is a very special team. They are the two-time champions, and they are able to come up with a lot of surprises. But they shouldn't be on the bubble. Yeah, it's so bad. Everybody's talking about it. They shouldn't be on the bubble. They are a negative differential, but they still stay competitive. They had a few injuries at the beginning of the season that also affected them. Few, matches that we expected them to win. They were not winning those matches. So that's why right now they are a negative differential, but they can still be competitive. So let's still give them some time. Seattle Kraken has lost 10. and they look like they are really, really struggling. Um, I try to, just put them a little bit above some of the Canadian teams that are struggling, like the Vancouver Canucks, the Winnipeg Jets. Seattle Kraken still has a bit of. They could surge. They have what I call, they still have some condiments which can still give them the opportunity to go on like maybe a 5 or 6 win run, and they can just come into my tier two. But right now they are in the bubble zone, still a tier three team. The San Jose Sharks are also competitive, strong away record, and they have a young guy that I've talked about, you celebrating, playing very well, born in Vancouver, played at a very high level. So they have what it takes to just squeeze themselves in and get into a wild card and maybe just make a few noise in the postseason. They don't really have, for me, they don't really have that postseason postseason experience, especially with the guys presently on the team. A lot of young guys, they have what it takes, but they may not be able to go too far in the postseason. But they are surprisingly competitive. I've seen them play in Vancouver, and they played at a very high level. So I like their strong away record as well. The Los Angeles Kings are inconsistent but dangerous, and that's why nobody should look down on them. They don't look like they can bite because a lot of other teams in the US are doing far better than them. For a team located in a big city like California, I expect a bit more from them, but right now they are inconsistent and they may not be able to move beyond this my wildcard region. Utah Mammoth as well. For me, their inconsistency is not commendable because the way it has even expanded, they are still competitive, but they are losing matches that they shouldn't be losing. Um, for me, I think that this team, Utamama, should build for next year. Because if you look at my category, I've looked at them. They can't even beat any of these other teams I've talked about out of this wildcard record, and not everybody here will qualify for the postseason. So my expected takeaway is they will probably prepare for next season, get to a few trades, try and see if they can get some strong capital as well. And when it comes to capital, I'm talking about talents across lower leagues that can come and help them to improve. And maybe next season they'll be able to stay, competitive. But between now and the end of the season, let's still see because some of these things can change. Some of these players may get the opportunity to rest, get new motivation, and just come and have a couple of wins and get into the wild card. So let's still see. Hopefully, I expect a 6 to 8 team dogfight, and this is where the dogfight happens a lot in this region. 3 to 4 playoff spots are going to exist within this tier three. So you're going to be seeing a lot more teams fighting, dogfight between now and the end of the season. And I always say that I don't like, personally, if I was running a team, I don't like to be in that situation. I like to take care of business much earlier, either be in tier one or tier two, so that even my ratings and my matching, the kind of teams, I won't have any mismatch for the teams I'll be facing in the first and second round of the postseason. The tier four are teams that are slipping away. They are underperforming, and it's completely obvious that these teams are underperforming. These are teams with negative trend. They have very poor goal differential and structural issues. Some of the structural issues also cuts across. Maybe some goaltending issues are happening. Maybe some injuries have also, messed them around. Changing in some of their core staff like coaches, assistant coaches, and stuff. So in this category, we have the New Jersey Devils -6 differential. They have some defensive issues that I'm seeing, at least in their last 5 games. There are a lot of things that they need to improve on. There's poor goal differential for them and structural issues. The Nashville Predators too, -5 differential. I believe that they are inconsistent in their scoring. And all this is as at 12th of January 2026. Their scoring has not really been able to catch up to what is expected of them. So they are now playing like a much lower league team. And, I feel that they should quickly look inward and see what they can change once they come back after the break. The New York Rangers too, -19 differential. They've had too many defensive collapse this season, and I feel that they need to fix that quickly. The Ottawa Senators too, I feel for them, they are -8 differential. They've been a bit of a streaky team, and I want them to really improve because, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are just their next door neighbors, are catching up and they are playing at a very high level. So they can also do that. Now, tier 4 have the Anaheim Ducks. They are slipping away. They are underperforming. That doesn't mean that they still cannot qualify. The Anaheim Ducks is still a very good team. There's a minus 23 differential, and they're having a poor home record over the last 10 games. But that doesn't mean that they cannot change things. Anaheim Ducks is really not on the same level of even some of the teams in tier 3. But I'm just looking at some of their performances in recent times. They are trending downwards. They are slipping away. And it doesn't really affect what their position is on the table. So we have the Columbus Blue Jackets at minus 17 in their differential. They have weak home form, and we try to look at a lot of other things in hockey that can affect you from, qualifying for the postseason and getting good matchups. Because if you now get the wrong matchups, it tends to affect you from getting to the final. You are not motivated the right way because you are playing a team that is fairly stronger than you and stuff. So where you finish also matters. Chicago Blackhawks to have a minus 7 differential. They've lost their last 4. And these losses are also mounting a lot of pressure on them. Every team that just faces them feels that they can beat them. So they don't really respect them. And these are big teams. You understand? So I feel that they need to improve on one or two things, before they, start to talk of, oh, we're wrapping up this season and we're preparing for postseason. Calgary Flames are minus 18 in their differential. They've lost 9, I call this a free fall. It's no more really interesting to watch them anymore. Even though their second leg against the Edmonton Oilers was one of their best matches I've seen this season. They were very aggressive. Their match also against the Florida Panthers, where they defeated them too, was also very good, But after those 2 matches, I've not really seen any bites in the team. And they are powerhouses. Calgary Flames is a powerhouse team. A lot of people expect a bit more from them, but we're not getting it. So I think the key takeaway is the Calgary collapse is the biggest storyline here. Everybody's talking about it. They are going through a free fall. They've lost 9, and they've not really been able to pick up some wins so far. So they are tending towards my tier 5, which I consider the bottom of the league. The tier 5, for me, bottom of the league, with structural issues and poor metrics. For me, I think, I can confidently say they have very, very little play of hope for the teams within this category. Very, little play of hope. I've talked about some of them earlier, but I just, put these ones in a different category. This St. Louis Blues, minus 18 differential, they are 1 of 8. That's tough, They've won 1 game, they lost 8 in regular season, and they lost 1 in overtime. That's not good. They are trending downwards. The Winnipeg Jets also, minus 18 differential, they are not consistent anymore. This was a good team that I used to call them one of the good power play teams. But right now, they are not playing so well. The Vancouver Canucks, minus 16, not good enough. There's a lot more they can improve on, but they've had a poor away record. They play better in Vancouver, but the moment they go to the US, they are, consistently losing, and that's not good for, for hockey. They need to improve. So the teams within this last category, I believe that they are effectively out unless they go on a miracle run. And miracle run means that the moment they go on this holiday, they come back and maybe their next 10 games, they win like 9, because it kind of builds momentum as well. If you win 9 of 10, the whole league now begins to be a bit more scared of you. They start to come up with some kind of different strategy to be able to face you as a team. So we've had that happening a lot of times where teams will just come back from a break. They will get some of their major guys that are injured, get them back to the team, and they just pick up some quick wins within their next 10. And, we're still going to 82 games, so there's still a lot to watch out for. So the biggest takeaway, in some of these things that I've talked about, the Colorado they're still dominating the Avalanche. They're approaching, I think, a little bit around the 2018, 2019 Lightning levels. Yeah. The Tampa Bay Lightning team, how they were performing around 2018, 2019 is what I'm seeing in this Colorado team. They are performing similar. And the Tampa Bay Lightning also, who are second, they've had a 10-game winning streak. It puts them in contention to be able to challenge for the Stanley Cup as well. Calgary, that has collapsed, they've lost 9, is one of the worst in the franchise history. Not happy with what I'm seeing because they're a powerhouse. They should be able to perform better. Vegas and Detroit are the most improved teams so far. I like what I'm seeing from Detroit and the Vegas teams. They've improved and they've given us some version that they can go into the postseason and surprise everybody. The wild card race for me, I try to compare with other years. I did some analysis. It will be the tightest that we've seen in years because of the difference in points between people within this wildcard race. There are so many of them fighting for a spot, so it's going to be a major race for them. They're going to. It's going to be a big fight. So let's still see how it goes. Hopefully, we're able to see some surprises coming. Across the wildcard area because I'm really interested in the teams that would qualify around the wildcard. So if we look at the current playoff picture for the teams, if the season was to end on the 12th of January and we decided, okay, let's pick the best teams and let's just take them the way they are and go into the postseason. And I don't think that can happen, but let's just assume there was a COVID or there was some kind of instability or there's war in North America or something, God forbid. And for some reason, they had to stop the season and it was resolved and they said, okay, as it is now, all the teams where you are in your current playoff picture qualify, and let's see how you perform in the postseason. The Atlantic Division will have Detroit Red Wings going as top three teams that are qualified automatically. Tampa Bay automatically qualifies. Montreal Canadiens to qualify with 58 points. Tampa Bay with 59 points and Detroit Red Wings with 60 points automatically qualify. Under the Metropolitan Division, this is my favorite division. I like this division, very different. We have the Carolina Hurricanes with 60 points, New York Islanders 55 points, and Philadelphia Flyers 52. These six teams are locked into the playoff position based on current standings. They don't have any issues based on their performance. Automatically, they are in already if the season were to end today. On the Eastern Conference side, on the wildcard spots, we have two teams that are presently in wildcard positions. Toronto Maple Leafs with 53 points and Buffalo Sabres with 52 points. Now, these two teams will qualify if the season were to end as at today. And that's just the Lanonas's Maple Sports outlook. Now, these two teams are playoff positions as at today. Yeah. So if we look at the other side, the other conference, the wildcards, they are not fully clear. But from what we are seeing, I was able to just come up, okay, which teams based on my ranking. The Washington Capitals are a bit in, and that's why I said even the wildcard positioning is a dogfight. Everybody is almost on the same points. We have Washington, the Boston Bruins, and the Pittsburgh Penguins all on 42 points. So it's a very tough one. We also have the Buffalo team also on 52 points. We have Florida Panthers on 51 points. So they are all within the wildcard. New Jersey Devils. So it's difficult to decide until the end of the season because they are having almost the same number of points. So we have the New York Rangers, Ottawa Senators, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are all within the wildcard zone. So any of these teams could make it, into the wildcard peak into the postseason and playoff picture. For the Western Conference side, where we have the Central and Pacific Division, teams that have already qualified as at their performance today, based on the Lanonas' outlook. My usual team, the Colorado Avalanche, play very well with 74 points. In fact, they are in a different league of their own. Dallas Stars with 63 points. See the difference between them and second. Minnesota Wild have 61 points. Central Division, these ones have already qualified and they're already in good positions. On the Pacific Division, we have the Vegas Golden Knights with 54 points, Edmonton Oilers, and the Seattle Kraken. On the Pacific Division, these ones are already okay. They have what it takes. These six teams are locked into playoff positions based on their current standings. For the wildcard position, two teams are currently in, but the remaining have not really seen because teams can still jump into this, especially with the way the Western teams are chasing the wildcard seriously. We have San Jose Sharks 49 points and Los Angeles Kings 48 points. Apart from that, we have just closely behind them. You understand? Not currently in, but just closely behind them. We have the Utah Mammoth also with 48 points, and that's why they are tied with the LA team. But it's just the tiebreaker that makes me put them, just below. Nashville Predators, Anaheim Ducks, Chicago Blackhawks, Calgary Flames, St. Louis Blues, Winnipeg Jets, and Vancouver Canucks. All these teams have between 48 and 39 points. They can change things in the last maybe 20 games of the season and they will become, a different team. So Who is in right now? Teams that have qualified in the East that are in as at now, and things can change. Detroit, Tampa Bay, Montreal, the Carolina team, New York Islanders, and Philadelphia. They are comfortably in as qualified. Wildcard, Toronto, and Buffalo, as I said. And also, if you go up and you're looking at, okay, what's happening in the West? Which teams have qualified? We have Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Vegas, Edmonton, and Seattle. Now, these ones are okay. Now, if I were to choose based on tiebreakers, the wild card that are doing so well are the San Jose Sharks and the Los Angeles Kings, and that just ends the season. And if we go, directly into the postseason, I have a very strong feeling it's not going to be looking so different from, some of the things I've talked about. And that's just it. That's my standing analysis, my analysis outlook for ranking for the team based on, you know, 12th of January 2026, and based on all their performances, which teams are presently showing promise and how they are going to perform in the postseason. Thank you very much for staying till the end. I'm your host once again, Taiwo Nojobi, your commentator, analyst, and unapologetic fan of the game rather. God bless you and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.